When we talk about haunted cemeteries, the mind often conjures up images of old, decaying graves and the eerie quiet of a place that feels forgotten by time. Cemeteries, by their nature, carry an energy of finality, of lives once lived, now silent. But what if I told you that some cemeteries are far from silent? What if these places, where the living come to mourn, are haunted by something much more restless spirits who have yet to find peace? The energy of these places can be intense, powerful, and even dangerous. Today we will dive deep into the risks associated with visiting haunted cemeteries and the mysterious energy left behind by restless spirits. You might wonder why someone would even want to visit a haunted cemetery. There's a part of us all that is fascinated by the unknown, by the supernatural. Cemeteries are often seen as portals between the living and the dead, places where the veil between our world and the spirit realm is thin. But while this intrigue is natural, the risks are very real. Spirits tied to these places might not all be benign, and the energy they leave behind can affect those who are sensitive or unaware of what they are walking into.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Imagine standing in the middle of a cemetery as the night falls. There's a coolness in the air, a stillness that feels unnatural. You hear footsteps behind you, but when you turn around, no one is there. This is often how it begins, subtle signs that something beyond the physical world is present. But it's not just about eerie feelings or ghostly apparitions. There is an energy, often negative, that can cling to those who visit these places. Have you ever walked away from a location feeling drained, uneasy, or like a weight is pressing on your chest? That's not just your imagination. Energy, particularly in places like haunted cemeteries, can attach itself to us in ways we don't always understand. You might think, I'm just visiting. What harm can it do? But here's the thing: when you enter a space that is haunted, you're not just walking among graves. You're walking through layers of history, pain, and unfinished business. Spirits who are stuck in these places are often there because they are unresolved, whether it's because of an untimely death, a tragic accident, or simply a strong attachment to the physical world. Their energy doesn't dissipate with time. In fact, it lingers, sometimes growing stronger, seeking attention, or even latching onto those who are unaware of its presence. Why do spirits remain in cemeteries? Not every spirit moves uneasily. Some souls are trapped by their own unresolved emotions or confusion about their passing. Others may feel a duty to remain close to their physical body, perhaps because they fear the afterlife or feel they still have a role to play in the world of the living. These spirits are often described as restless, and it's this restlessness that visitors to haunted cemeteries often feel. But let's think deeper. How does one deal with such spirits? If you visit a cemetery and feel the presence of a spirit, how do you respond? Do you simply walk away, or do you engage? And if you engage, are you truly prepared for the consequences? Cemeteries are filled with untold stories. Each grave represents a life once lived, and in some cases a life that ended in sorrow or tragedy. Restless spirits tend to gather where emotions ran high, whether it was fear, anger, or grief. These emotions don't just disappear. They leave an imprint, and in places like haunted cemeteries, that imprint can be overwhelming. When you enter such a place, you are walking through layers of energetic residue left behind by countless souls. This is why some people find cemeteries unsettling even during the day. It's not just about the eerie quiet or the gravestones marking lives long gone. It's the feeling that something is still there, just out of sight. But what about the risk to those who are sensitive to spiritual energy? Some people are more open to these energies than others. You may not even realize you're one of these people until you find yourself in a haunted location. You might start feeling things, cold spots, a sense of being watched, or even hearing whispers that have no source. For those who are sensitive, visiting a haunted cemetery can be overwhelming. It's like walking into a room filled with voices, all speaking at once, but none of them are visible. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever walked into a place and felt an immediate shift in energy, as if the atmosphere itself was pressing down on you? If so, you've likely encountered something beyond the physical world. The energy in these places is not always malevolent, but it is often heavy. It's an energy born from unresolved emotions and unfinished lives. And if you're not careful, that energy can follow you home. This is one of the greatest risks of visiting haunted cemeteries. The energy doesn't always stay behind. If you are sensitive to these things, or if you're simply not prepared, you could bring something back with you, an attachment that lingers long after you've left the cemetery. Have you ever felt a heaviness in your home after visiting a place like this? Have you ever noticed strange occurrences, like objects moving or an eerie feeling that you're not alone? These are signs that you've brought something back with you, and it's not always easy to get rid of. So how do we protect ourselves? If you're going to visit a haunted cemetery, you need to be prepared. Grounding yourself before entering such a place is crucial. This means connecting with your own energy, ensuring that you are centered and protected. Imagine yourself surrounded by a shield of light, one that keeps out any negative or unwanted energies. If you feel that something is trying to attach itself to you, visualize that shield becoming stronger, pushing away anything that doesn't belong. But even more than that, be mindful. Be aware of your surroundings, not just physically, but spiritually. Pay attention to how you feel, to the subtle shifts in energy around you. If something feels off, trust that feeling. Your intuition is your greatest ally in these situations. But perhaps the most important lesson to take from all of this is respect. Cemeteries, especially those that are haunted, deserve our respect. The spirits there are often stuck, confused, or angry. They are not to be provoked or treated with disdain. When you visit these places, do so with the understanding that you are walking among souls who have not yet found peace. Offer them kindness, and if you feel compelled, offer a prayer or blessing for their release. By doing this, you not only protect yourself, but you also help those spirits in their journey toward peace. What's most fascinating, however, is the question of why some spirits remain restless. Why do they not move on? Is it fear? Is it attachment to the physical world? Or could it be that some spirits don't even realize they're dead? It's a question worth contemplating because it forces us to think about our own relationship with death. What would it take for you to let go? Would you be able to release your attachment to the life you've built, or would you find yourself tethered to the physical world, unable to move on? This is one of the deeper questions we must ask ourselves when exploring the energy of haunted places. What does it mean to truly let go? When we think about the spirits that remain in these haunted cemeteries, we often imagine them as lost, trapped in a cycle they cannot escape. But have you ever considered the possibility that these spirits might be here for a reason? Perhaps their purpose is not just to haunt but to teach. Encounters with restless spirits can often be unsettling, yes, but they also present a profound opportunity for personal and spiritual growth. The question we need to ask ourselves is, what can we learn from these spirits, and how do these encounters shape us? Spiritual growth is not a linear process. It's not always about moving toward the light or finding peace through calm meditation. Sometimes it's about confronting darkness, facing the unknown, and dealing with energies that challenge us in ways we never anticipated. When we visit a haunted cemetery and feel the presence of something otherworldly, we are being given a chance to explore the shadow side of spirituality. The question is, are we ready to face that part of ourselves? Think about it. Why do some people experience profound transformation after visiting places like these, while others leave feeling drained or even cursed? The difference lies in the approach. Those who embrace the unknown, who walk into haunted places with a sense of reverence and curiosity, often come away with a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. They don't shy away from the negative energy, but instead find a way to transmute it into something powerful and enlightening. You might be wondering, how can a haunted cemetery teach me anything about myself? The answer lies in how we react to fear. Cemeteries, particularly haunted ones, bring us face to face with the concept of death, the ultimate unknown. Death, for many of us, is the final frontier of fear. We don't know what lies beyond, and this uncertainty can be terrifying. But visiting a haunted cemetery forces us to confront that fear directly. We walk among the graves, knowing that one day we too will return to the earth. In doing so, we're given a choice. We can either let that fear consume us, or we can use it as a catalyst for growth. It's important to realize that fear is not inherently negative. In fact, fear is often a doorway to deeper wisdom. When you feel fear in a haunted cemetery, you're not just reacting to the spirits around you, you're reacting to the spiritual unknown within yourself. The energy you feel in these places often mirrors the unresolved parts of your own soul. What are you afraid of? What have you left unresolved in your life? These are the questions that begin to surface when you step into a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin. But here's the thing, fear is also a powerful teacher. It can show us where we are still holding on, where we are still attached to the physical world, just like the restless spirits we encounter in these cemeteries. Have you ever asked yourself why certain places evoke such strong emotional reactions? Why do some people feel intense sadness while others feel fear or anger? It's because these places serve as mirrors. They reflect back to us the emotions we haven't yet dealt with. So when you visit a haunted cemetery, you're not just encountering the spirits of the dead, you're encountering the unresolved parts of yourself. For those who are willing to go deeper, haunted places can offer a path toward healing. The energy left behind by restless spirits can be unsettling, but it can also be transformative. By confronting the energy in these places, you are also confronting your own spiritual shadows, the parts of yourself that you've been too afraid to face. And when you do that, when you allow yourself to feel the fear and the discomfort, something incredible happens. You begin to release it. You begin to transmute that fear into wisdom, and in doing so, you free yourself from the grip of the unknown. But it's not just about personal growth. There's also the question of spiritual responsibility. When we visit places like haunted cemeteries, we are entering into a sacred space, a space where spirits are still tied to the physical world. We have a responsibility to approach these places with respect and reverence. These spirits are often stuck, unable to move on because of their own unresolved issues. They need our compassion, not our fear. So when you visit a haunted cemetery, instead of being afraid, ask yourself, what can I do to help these spirits find peace? This is where the concept of spiritual healing comes in. Haunted cemeteries are often places where spiritual work can be done not just for yourself, but for the spirits who reside there. Have you ever considered the idea that you might be able to help these spirits move on? It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. In many spiritual traditions, there are rituals and practices designed to help guide spirits toward the light. Whether it's through prayer, meditation, or simple intention, you have the power to bring healing to a place that is otherwise filled with pain and confusion. Think about it. What if your visit to a haunted cemetery wasn't just about confronting your own fears, but about bringing peace to the spirits that are trapped there? What if, by facing the negative energy head-on, you could help transmute that energy into something positive, something healing? This is the deeper purpose of spiritual encounters with haunted places. It's not just about scaring ourselves for the thrill of it. It's about understanding that we have the power to shift the energy of a place, to bring light into the darkness. But in order to do that, you must first be willing to face your own darkness. The spirits in these cemeteries are not so different from us. They are souls who are lost, confused, and afraid. And just like them, we all have parts of ourselves that are still tied to the past, still unresolved. The difference is, we have the opportunity to face those parts of ourselves and heal them. But are you willing to do that? Are you willing to look into the mirror of the haunted cemetery and confront the parts of yourself that are still holding on to fear? The energy of a haunted place can be overwhelming, but it can also be transformative. It's all about how you approach it. If you walk into a cemetery with fear, that fear will be reflected back to you. But if you walk in with an open heart, with the intention to heal and bring peace, that energy will shift. And in the process, you'll find that you're not just healing the spirits who reside there, you're healing yourself. As we continue to explore these haunted places, we must ask ourselves, what is the purpose of these encounters? Are they simply meant to scare us, or are they opportunities for growth and transformation? The answer lies within each of us. Haunted cemeteries are powerful spiritual spaces, and the energy they hold is a reflection of the human experience, both the light and the dark. When we visit these places, we are given a choice. We can either succumb to the fear, or we can rise above it, using it as a tool for spiritual evolution. When we step into the realm of haunted cemeteries and confront the spirits that reside there, we are not just challenging our perceptions of the supernatural. We are also stepping into the unknown, embracing uncertainty and learning to navigate the spiritual terrain that often feels elusive, even dangerous. But the truth is, uncertainty is not something to be feared. In fact, it is through uncertainty that we discover our greatest potential for spiritual growth. Many of us spend our lives trying to control our surroundings, trying to find stability in a world that is inherently unpredictable. This desire for control is natural. It's a way of coping with the chaos of life. But when we enter a place like a haunted cemetery, where the energy is thick with the unknown, we are reminded of something fundamental. Control is an illusion. In these spaces, we are forced to let go of our need for certainty and embrace the mystery of existence. The spirits in these cemeteries serve as reminders that life is not always what it seems. They exist in a state of limbo, caught between two worlds, unable to fully grasp their place in either. In a way, we are not so different from them. How often do we find ourselves caught in a similar limbo, trapped between who we were and who we are becoming? How often do we cling to the familiar, even when we know it no longer serves us, simply because we are afraid of what lies beyond? This is the real lesson of visiting haunted cemeteries. It's not just about confronting spirits or negative energy. It's about confronting the parts of ourselves that are still stuck, still afraid to move forward. The energy in these places forces us to face the uncertainty that lies at the heart of all spiritual growth. It's a reminder that, in order to evolve, we must be willing to step into the unknown, to embrace the chaos, and to trust that, on the other side of that uncertainty, we will find clarity. But how do we navigate this uncertainty without losing ourselves in it? How do we confront the unknown without being overwhelmed by fear or confusion? The answer lies in surrender. Much like the spirits who are trapped in haunted cemeteries, we often find ourselves clinging to the past, to old patterns, and to outdated beliefs. But the key to spiritual growth is learning to letting go of the need for control, the need for answers, and the need for certainty. When you walk through a haunted cemetery, You are walking through a space that is filled with stories of lives that were lived, but also stories that were never fully resolved. These spirits, these energies, are reminders that life is fleeting, that everything we hold on to so tightly will one day fade away. And yet there is beauty in that impermanence. It teaches us to live more fully in the present moment, to embrace the mystery of life rather than fear it. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why we fear the unknown? Why do we resist stepping into the darkness, even when we know that it's the only way to grow? The truth is, uncertainty feels like a threat to our sense of self. It challenges our ego, which thrives on control and predictability. But the soul, the deeper part of us, understands that growth only happens when we are willing to surrender to the unknown. In many ways, the energy of a haunted cemetery is a reflection of this internal battle between the ego and the soul. The spirits who remain trapped in these places are often stuck because they, too, are afraid to let go. They cling to their physical existence, to their memories, to their sense of self, even though that part of their journey is over. And yet, by doing so, they prevent themselves from moving forward, from finding peace. The same is true for us. When we hold on to fear, when we resist change, we become like those spirits trapped in a state of limbo, unable to fully embrace the next phase of our spiritual journey. But if we can learn to surrender, to trust the process, we open ourselves up to a whole new level of awareness. We begin to see that the unknown is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. It is through uncertainty that we find our true strength, our true power. So when you visit a haunted cemetery, consider this: what are you still holding on to? What fears are keeping you from moving forward? What parts of your life are you clinging to, even though they no longer serve you? The energy in these places can help you confront these questions. It can push you to face the parts of yourself that are still unresolved, still afraid. And in doing so, it can help you break free from the limitations that are holding you back. The spirits in these cemeteries may be stuck, but you don't have to be. You have the power to move forward, to release the fear and uncertainty that are keeping you in limbo. And when you do, you will find that the energy around you begins to shift. The darkness that once felt overwhelming will start to fade, replaced by a sense of clarity and peace. You will begin to see the beauty in the unknown, and you will realize that, far from being something to fear, it is the very thing that allows you to grow. But remember, this is not a one-time process. Spiritual growth is a journey, and like any journey, it requires us to continually confront the unknown. There will always be new challenges, new fears, new uncertainties to face. But the more we embrace these challenges, the more we trust in the process, the more we grow. And each time we do, we come one step closer to understanding the true nature of existence.